Hello, everyone. Today we're going to take a brief look at Chapter 10 of The Sun Also Rises. So, I think it's interesting to take a look at how this chapter is written and sort of wonder, was it inspired by real life? I mean, we know some of the characters are inspired by Hemingway's time as an expatriate in Paris and in Spain, and these trips that he would take with his friends. But there are specific moments that really feel like they must be inspired by some sort of specific moment that Hemingway is recalling. There's a particular moment during the chapter where Jake, Bill, and Robert are sort of waiting around for this guy who sells fishing tackle and like little minute details and stuff. And so the question becomes, well, why? Right? Why would Hemingway just invent or create some tiny trivial details like this? So is he describing something that actually happened? And if he is, why? Is he trying? Is it an attempt to create more authenticity to it? Hemingway, really works hard at creating this illusion or this appearance that Jake is giving us this story sort of at the time and unedited and sort of unrefined, and it's just what he's thinking is coming out in real time, so to speak. Um, and I think a lot of that has to do with this attempt to create a sense of authenticity. And that brings me to something that Hemingway said and something that we've considered before. I'm trying in all my stories to get the feeling of the actual life across, not to just depict life or to criticize it, but to actually make it alive so that when you have read something by me, you actually experience the thing. You can't do this without putting in the bad and the ugly as well as what is beautiful. Because if it is all beautiful, you can't believe in it. Things aren't that way. And so I think part of the use of what we might consider irrelevant or tiny little details that don't feel like they add a little bit to the story, I think that is done intentionally by Hemingway. I think that is part of his reason for, or should I say, method of creating authenticity in his stories. And yes, I am just now noticing the typo on this slide. Awesome. Finally, with chapter 10, the last thing I want to mention is the continually evolving attitudes towards each other when it comes to Jake and Robert. Clearly, in chapter 10, right, Jake's hatred, his disdain, his strong dislike continues to grow, continues to augment. We have a couple of examples where he sort of takes pleasure in Cohn's uncomfortableness at one point actually just coming out and saying, I certainly did hate him. Well, it doesn't really get much more clear than that. And a lot of this, as I'm sure you can imagine, right, stems from what happened previously with Robert and Lady Brett Ashley, right? And sort of this jealousy, right? This envy on the part of Jake, and certainly fueling a lot of that anger, right? Jake can't have that kind of relationship with Brett, and certainly he doesn't want somebody else to have that relationship either, or at least someone who he believes isn't worthy of that kind of relationship or doesn't understand, right? He's not, as Brett had said in previous chapters, he's not one of us, right? When she's talking about oh, he's one of us, right? Robert clearly isn't that, right? He's clearly not part of their little circle, right? That has experienced certain things and is sort of coming to grips with the true nature of the universe. Robert doesn't fit that, and so he isn't worthy in Jake's eyes. Like I said, it was going to be brief. If you have questions or concerns about Chapter 10 or any of the reading, please reach out to me at any time through email or Google Classroom, and you can always stop by the virtual office hours and log in from 10 to noon, Monday through Friday.